Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode 93. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Well, on this show, we like to obviously give the tactical tips about how to declutter, where you should start, how to use things like the container concept or the out of sight, out of mind bin. But we also want to make sure we're looking at the mindset blocks and mindset shifts that have to happen in order for us to be able to declutter successfully. And today I'm diving into 5 mindset shifts to help you let go of clutter. And there is a workbook that you can download. I'm going to link it in the show notes so you can dive in a little bit deeper to see if any of these mindset shifts, or maybe all of them, are ones that you need to make in order to let go of what isn't serving you more easily. So I'm really excited for this episode. And what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. Today's featured review is from Christy's Mom 01. And she writes, "This one is worth the time. I tend to subscribe, listen to 5 or 10 episodes of a podcast, and then keep them or let them go. I believe this one is a keeper. I've only heard 3 or 4 episodes so far, but I value it enough to prioritize time to listen, even while I do other activities. The content is relevant and useful. The expectations are realistic, and it's presented in a warm, welcoming, and reassuring way." Well, thank you so much for that review. And just as a reminder, we are wrapping up our 100K giveaway. And if you leave a quick review just like that in Apple Podcasts and send me a screenshot of that, you can be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Yay! And if you've already left a review like Christy's Mom 01, that's okay. You can share the show with a friend and send that screenshot to me. And everything is in the show notes for you today, so make sure to check that out. And also reminders about the summits that I am a part of, the Simple Change Summit and the Chaos to Calm Summit. There is so much value packed into these summits, so I hope that you will take advantage of them as well. So today we're diving into these 5 mindset shifts to help you let go of clutter. And I do have an accompanying workbook. So each mindset shift has 3 questions to kind of help you dig a little bit deeper. If you have the time, maybe every week you can focus on one of them so that it's not too overwhelming. I always want to be mindful of that. And so we're going to dive into the first mindset shift, which is scarcity versus abundance mindset. And I did talk about this a little bit in episode 15. These 3 words are sabotaging your decluttering efforts, and the 3 words are just in case. How many of us have said that? Well, I got to hold on to this just in case. So a scarcity mindset is one where we feel like we don't have enough, that we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, that if you have something and I don't have something, it's like an either or rather than a both and kind of mindset. And it's very easy as moms to have scarcity mindset because we can go on social media and see lots of people that seem to have it all together and that have more than us or seem like they have more than us or have kids that listen or whatever. And so scarcity mindset means that we're not finding security in who we are intrinsically, but rather the roles that we play and the stuff that we have. And so we want to shift to a place of abundance where we recognize there's enough resources and successes to go around. We have this inherent sense of self-worth. We can also be grateful for what we have and generous with what we don't need. So that is a huge mindset shift, because all of the advertisements that we see tell us that we are lacking something, and so we need to buy something to make sure we're not lacking anymore. And abundance mindset really kind of turns that on its head. So definitely check out that workbook for more questions about that to help you dive into it a bit more. The second mindset shift is aspirational self versus realistic self. And just this concept of someday I will use it, someday I will do this thing, right, that requires something. And as moms, we really struggle with this aspirational clutter. I talk about it in episode 10, but I feel like moms, especially with clothing, because we have clothing that used to fit us pre-kids, we have maybe crafting supplies for that project we might get to someday, or kitchen gadgets for, the really complicated pasta that we might make, except that our kids are always underfoot and so forth. And so really it is being okay with the season that we're in right now, and recognizing that just because we can't wear something or do something, it's all right to let that go, and we can always pick something back up in a different season. So aspirational clutter is something I also deal with. I think it's perfectly natural, because as moms, we're constantly giving and sacrificing, and sometimes we're not able to do the things we would normally do, but just sort of recognizing we don't have to hold on to things that make us feel bad about ourselves because we're not able to do those things anymore. The third mindset shift is one from a mindless consumer to an intentional consumer, an intentional advocate. So we're probably not aware how many ads we see, how they're really impacting us. And so sometimes we don't recognize that, and we're buying based upon impulse or comparison. And when we're more intentional with our purchasing, we can understand not only why we're buying something, if it's in alignment with our values, but also understanding the hands and hearts behind the things that we are purchasing and the conditions under which those workers are living and being treated. And we talk a little bit about impulse purchasing in episode 86 with Megan Dwyer from Money Isn't Scary. But just kind of taking it that step further, that perhaps we're going to not just buy something because we saw it on an ad and, okay, this looks good, but all right, what is this company all about? How are they treating their workers? Like, we can be a little bit more mindful about what we're purchasing and bringing into our home. The fourth mindset shift is a biggie. It is the difference between decluttering and letting go. Now, obviously, this is a decluttering podcast. We're helping you declutter homes, heads, and hearts, right? There is this idea that we can follow all the decluttering advice in the world. You can implement every single thing you've ever learned on this podcast. But if we don't understand the deeper reasons as to why we're emotionally attached to our stuff, or why we buy something in the first place, we're not going to be able to truly let go. So we really have to think about, what is the purpose? What are we making room for? Do we want to make room for us to be able to pursue our purpose? Do we want to make room so that we feel like we're a more present parent? We have to really think about the why. And also thinking about, when it comes to letting go of that emotional attachment, that comes back to a lot of our sentimental items. And we talk about this in episode 11, but just kind of figuring out, okay, why am I holding on to this sentimental item? Is it an actual positive sentiment? Because sometimes we're holding on to things out of guilt or obligation. And even though it's taking up a small amount of physical space, it takes up a lot of emotional space and kind of that mental clutter and that inventory of what we have and why. So if we're able to kind of shift to that letting go, it really is that releasing of the things that are no longer serving us. And the last mindset shift, number 5, is what I like to call the natural disaster exercise, which we've done a couple times on the podcast before, but it's a real fun one, so we're going to do it again, okay? Okay, so imagine that you have gone away for the weekend. You have a suitcase with the things you need. You have your kids, you have your spouse, you have your pets, you have your, wedding rings on, anything that might be pretty much important to you, you have. And then a neighbor calls you and says, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Your house has flooded. Everything is ruined." What is the first thing that you would miss? Go. And most people first they go, "Oh." And the second thing they say is photos. Right? And that's totally natural. But outside of photos, is there anything else that you might miss? And a lot of times people say no. And so this is really great to kind of get you in the mindset of like, why am I holding on to so much stuff? Why is this causing me so much stress? Because there aren't that many things that are valuable to us. And for the things that are, what are we doing to preserve the item or preserve the memory? Are we scanning our photos? Are we taking a picture of these sentimental items and having a story attached to them? There's lots of things that we could do in case there was a natural disaster, we had to evacuate or something like that. So those are the 5 mindset shifts. And again, you can dive more into it if you get the workbook, which you can find in the show notes. So let's review them very quickly. The first mindset shift is one from scarcity to abundance. The second is from an aspirational self to really embracing your realistic self. Number 3 is shifting from a mindless consumer to an intentional advocate. Number 4 is the difference between decluttering and letting go. And the 5th mindset shift is the natural disaster exercise, which really helps us remember what is actually important to us. And on Thursday, we're going to be talking to Michelle Bird. She's from the Busy Vibrant Mom podcast, and we're going to be talking about 5 productivity hacks to help you get on top of your day. And who can't use that, right? So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you Thursday. Bye for now. If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact. But 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.